Well, good evening, everybody. It's great to have you on this diabetes call. This evening, the subject is endocrine disrupting chemicals. So lots of poisons and things in our environment. So there are lots of studies over the past 3 years come out, especially American university studies linking diabetes to all of these toxins that we find in our homes.
30 dozen, which is the list of endocrine disruptors, and you can actually go and Google it. It's all over the internet. There's a whole booklet about it. It's my privilege to introduce the next speaker to you, which is Herman Jansen van Rensburg. He's a nutritionist. He has 7 different nutritional diplomas. He's also a scientist and a head teacher. So he can tell you a lot about the studies. Herman likes to read up on studies.
Thank you, Barbara, for the introduction. Hello, everybody. Yeah, as Barbara has mentioned, all these hormone disruptors. Well, we focus on diabetes tonight, but there's so many other bad things they do for us. Really, and we're not even aware of this. We're not even touching on, for example, hormones in milk that also can actually cause insulin resistance as well. You know, all the hormone milks. But okay, let's go on with diabetes and all these hormone disruptors. You know, there are several studies on environmental chemicals and different types of diabetes, like this was type 2 diabetes. Let's see what this study says in summary. This study conducted on the US general population. Now, look at this shocking feature here of fact. About 75%, 3/4, about 3 out of every 4 people have detectable phthalates in their urine. Now, that's very concerning. Bob's already showed you some of the dangers of phthalates and what it can do, okay? Another study showed higher phthalate concentration in urine were associated with increased obesity and insulin resistance. So definitely something you must avoid. So if you're a diabetic or you're concerned about diabetes, and you're just a normal person, not even in that direction, stay away from these things because you don't risk this. So more studies showed consistent and significant associations with diabetes. And other studies showed that women may be more vulnerable to the metabolic effects of phthalates, which may be associated with a higher use of personal products because of all the skin creams and all things they put on their bodies and they put on the babies. Okay, so they're more exposed. If you look at BPA, also again, this study on type 2 diabetes, an updated systematic review. Let's see what this summary says for us. Humans are widely exposed to BPA. Barbara showed to us all the plastics and toys and whatever, okay? One study showed that 90% of the US general population have detectable BPA in the urine. Now, if the US is 90%, suppose most countries would be around about there nowadays. And that's also a concern, 9 out of 10 people. So think about it. If there are 10 people in a family, if you've got a big family, then 9 of them, very likely, will be a urine that is affected. Another study showed BPA plays a role in the development of obesity and diabetes. And we know the link between obesity and diabetes, as well as obesity and other diseases. So it's really concerning this. The study in Shanghai, in China, also showed significant association with obesity and insulin resistance, again. And studies are ongoing to support the relationship between BPA and diabetes. So there's more and more studies coming out showing that we must be worried about BPA. Ethanolamides and diabetes. Because yeah, this ethanol linked to an amine group, as you call it. Okay? An amine group contains your nitrogen. Your studies on this, on nitrates, something Barbara didn't even mention, but nitrates and nitrites you find in your cold meats, your processed meats, as a preservative. So you get that from there as well. Okay, let's see what they say here. Ethanolamides, when you get them in your body and in the chemical process and stuff, nitrates are a byproduct of it. Now, in a study in Sweden of mothers during pregnancy, now that's a very important time for the baby's development. Take note, nitrate exposure was associated with the development of type 1 diabetes in the offspring. Okay? So the chemicals that mom got into while she was pregnant can lead to the baby eventually, as a young child, to get type 1 diabetes. Children of mothers living near higher levels of air pollution with nitrates, because we find in many factories, nitrogen is one of the byproducts or waste products, and it goes into the air. And again, a higher risk of developing type 1 diabetes by 8 to 14 years of age. At a very young age, type 1. And we know type 1 is an autoimmune disease and very tough if you've got it. Another study here in Germany, 2 population studies in Germany, it was found that higher numbers of type 1 diabetes diagnosis was shown to be of children of younger ages. So where those younger children are getting it. Residential exposure to traffic-related air pollutants, including nitrates, was also shown to accelerate the development of type 1 diabetes. So in other words, like I said, at a younger age, you start getting it. It's really concerning, people. We must really think about these toxins. We are too never-minded about toxins in our homes, in our food, and everywhere. Next slide. Okay. Another study in 16 different countries also found that 1 diabetes was more prevalent in countries which have high levels of nitrate emissions, others from factories and so on. The incidence of type 1 diabetes was higher in countries which has at least 2 of these pollutants in the air. So those people, we're getting this from our surroundings, even in your own home. We try to be safe. You're not in the home 24/7. You go out to work, to play, to wherever, and you can inhale all these toxins. Plus, you eat out, you eat with friends, and they might not be as worried about these things as you are. Next slide. Let's conclude on regarding these papers quickly. New research shows exposure to air pollutants such as nitrates could increase the risk of type 1 diabetes. That we've seen in a couple of studies, and there are more studies on this. Air pollutant exposures have multiple effects, which may directly affect the risk of type 1 diabetes. Now, the multiple effects obviously is a concerning thing. Experimental evidence shows these kinds of chemicals can affect the immune system and the development of autoimmune diseases. Most experimental studies involve higher doses, but low-dose studies have shown harmful effects, which may be especially harmful during critical periods of development, like during pregnancy, a young child, a baby, or when your body is down because you're sick and you're more vulnerable then. So people, it's so important that we must look at detoxing the body, detoxing the cells. We're not touching on that really tonight, but you really have to look at detoxing the cells and detoxing the body, and there are lipids and sterols removed from your food, which are so critical for cell health, to help the cells function normally so that you decrease your risk of getting all these diseases like diabetes. Other hormone disrupting chemicals you should know about, the PCBs, the oxins, atrazine, perchlorate, fire retardants, because we use that a lot to prevent fires. You know, the one risk, but now there's another risk coming in. Lead, arsenic, lead, even shocking. You might find lead even in supplements. Shocking, but they put it in supplements even. Arsenic, mercury, this is even found in shakes, protein shakes. Perfluorinated chemicals and organophosphate pesticides. So we haven't even touched on these. So people, you must be worried. So if I'm already doing it, but if I were you, I would really consider detoxing myself to protect myself and my family.